Have you ever changed something in your code and suddenly 5 completely unrelated classes broke? Yeah, that's not bad luck, that's tight coupling. Today I'll show how senior developers avoid exact problem using the observer pattern, and once you see it, you'll start spotting bad designs everywhere. By the end of this video, you'll know what observer pattern actually is, when you should definitely use it, when you absolutely shouldn't, and how to implement it cleanly in C# without over-engineering. This video is part of my series Design Pattern Code Like a Senior Dev, where we take classic design patterns and explain them in a way they are actually used in real teams. If you want to level up from "it works" to "this is well designed," you're in the right place. Let's start with a very common scenario. Imagine you are building a news app. There's a news publisher class, and whenever the breaking news comes in, you want to send an email notification, a mobile alert, log it in analytics, and so on. So to solve this, what do? You do the obvious thing. You call all the services directly. And your code looks something like this. You have a news publisher class, and in the method publish, you create those services and call them. Looks fine, right? Until. Now the product says we also need SMS notifications. So you change the class. Then marketing says remove analytics for now. So you change the class. Then tomorrow, something else. This class never stops changing. And that's a huge red flag. Your news publisher knows who's listening, how they listen, and how many listeners exist. That's way too much responsibility for a small class. This is where the observer pattern shines. The idea is simple, almost boringly simple. The publisher should not care who's listening. It should just say something happened. The observer pattern defines a one-to-many dependency. When one object changes state, all the dependents are notified automatically. There's no tight coupling, no hard dependencies. Alright, let's implement observer pattern. So the first step would be to create an interface called iNewsObserver. Anyone who wants updates must implement this interface. Now let's create the actual listeners or actual subscribers. So the first one is email service that inherits from iNewsObserver, and so upon receiving update, it would log email sent. Similarly, let's create another push notification observer. This again is the same, but we would push notifications rather than sending emails here. Now we need to create the subject or the publisher, which is the star of show here. So we would create a news publisher. So now this news publisher class keeps track of all the observers that are there, and it has a way to subscribe and unsubscribe those observers. So when news publisher would publish the news, it would call update on all the observers that we have. So let's say if we add push notification service and email service to news publishers observer list, then if we publish a new news, it would loop through all the observers that it has kept inside this and then call update method on all of those. So what those update method would do is to send emails and push notifications depending upon what they receive. So next, let's use this. So using it should be fairly simple. We'll start with creating a news publisher, and then in the publisher we can subscribe. I would subscribe to new email service, right? And let me copy paste this, and then the next was push notification service. Once that is done, let's publish a news. Alright, let's try to run this and see if everything works. Alright, so we see the email was sent and the push notification was sent with the content that we published here. So that's the observer pattern for you. Developers love this pattern because this pattern gives you loose coupling, it follows open-close principle, it gives us easy extensibility, and it results in testable components. And most importantly, your code stops fighting you. Quick warning though, if you only have one listener and no real need for decoupling, observer pattern is overkill. Devs don't use patterns everywhere. They use them where they reduce pain. Chances are you have already used observer pattern somewhere. If you ever have written events in C#, they follow observer pattern. UI button clicks, the same. Reactive streams, observer on steroids. So today we learned what the observer pattern solves, how bad design creep in, how to implement it cleanly in C#, and when to avoid it. This video is part of Design Patterns Code Like a Senior Dev. Check out the other pattern in the series because together they completely change how you think about design. If this helped, like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you with the next pattern. Till then, take care.